Hey folks, Mr. Hartzler here, and I want to talk to you about concept sketching. So if you're one of my students, this is something you might be working on at home. So this is the document that you're going to have. This is available to you on Google Classroom, but I just want to walk through it a little bit here just so we're all on the same page. Again, concept sketching is what this is all about. An important thing to remember is front views on these objects might be different than what you think of them as. So for a lot of people, I'll do an example as a pickup truck. So a lot of people think for a pickup truck, the front of the truck would look kind of like this. I'll see little wheels here. I've got kind of my cab, and then there'd be a person sitting in there with a steering wheel kind of in front of them, right? That's kind of what they think of as the front. This is not the front, right? The hood there, the grill, not the front. At least not for us in engineering, because we're talking about engineering drawings. And with engineering drawings, the most important part is all of the details. We want to see what the thing looks like. We want to see how it actually like interacts with the world. So for a pickup truck, it would be a lot more like this. And I'm not great at the drawing tablet yet. So, you know, be nice to me. Wow, that truck bed, not very proportional there. So we'll say this is just a single cab because that'll make it slightly more appropriate for what it actually is. There's my handle, my wheels are there. Now there's a person in here. The wheel is kind of over here. Their arm is kind of dangling off the side of the truck. Their body would be inside, right? That's just their arm. I only see one eye, kind of their nose, a little bit of their mouth. You kind of get the idea, right? This is the front. Okay, front is here. So keep in mind what you're looking at, what you're drawing. And actually, we would even see a little bit more here, right? So I would see a little bit of the other side of the truck bed. I'd see a little bit of the cab up on top. So you see how very quickly this is kind of becoming a three-dimensional sketch. So that's just something to keep in mind, that this does need to be three-dimensional. All of these kind of sketches are. So let's look at, in general, a cup. That's another big one a lot of people look at. So when you go through here, you have to draw the front view of a couple of these objects. Let me clear my little space here. So let's look at just very quickly what something like a coffee cup might look like. So I've got an ellipse or an oval. I come down, there's another one down here. And then of course my handle comes off, but that's three-dimensional as well. So I kind of have an inner handle here. Then we get into some shading. Let's see, I'll give this a shot. We'll see if I can do just a little bit of shading. I want it to be like grayish. So it'd be maybe darker in here, right? You kind of getting that idea, and it's darker around the bottom, but it's, and then it gets lighter as it gets over towards this side, we'll say, to where it's completely light. But then all of this over here is much darker. And again, it gets lighter as it goes over. And again, we're dark at the bottom because the light, it's hard for it to reach down there, and over here along this side as well. Okay. You can kind of see that in here too. Actually, no, not there. It would be on the other side. Because the light, if it's coming from over here, then the inside of the cup on this side is kind of dirty, or kind of dark, not dirty. Though it looks kind of dirty. All right, so hopefully that helps. Again, my shading's terrible because it's a lot of electronic, but you get the idea, right? So again, we're looking at, most importantly, that we have this ellipse up here. It's round. A lot of coffee cups are going to come in, and it's going to be a square with a little handle off to the side. This is wrong. This has to be elliptical, okay? We're looking at it at an angle, so keep that in mind. And I have some options down here for you to draw, right? You can pick any of these, but you're picking two of those things, okay? Two of any of these things. And if you have some other ideas, in general here, we're looking at some kind of cylinder, okay? That's the main point in this group one. Group two, we're getting to more organic shapes. So when I say, you know, ask me for some other idea, kind of think about in general what's going on here. Computer mouse, a lot more complicated than maybe a coffee cup, right? So keep that in mind. And a surge protector, we're also getting some rectangles in there with still probably some curves. There's more detail. That's what we're stepping up to in question 2. And again, 2 of these things. Don't worry about number 3 for right now. We're not going to do number 3 until we get into class at some point, and we might just push that off forever. And then number 4, 2 of these things. So now we're just looking at legitimate real world things that you can just find around your house that are even more complicated. So a can opener, you might not think it's more complicated, but there's a lot more details involved in a can opener. There's gears in there typically. There's a little wheel that's a blade, those kinds of things. And a spoon, that's difficult just because of the bowl shape there. I'm really looking for shading at that point. And fork and knife, there's more details on that. Chairs and lamps, I typically get some pretty cool ones, so just keep that in mind. And then don't forget to answer these questions. But I want to give you some hints on proportion. Proportion is all about part of an object's size relative to everything else. So most of our bodies are pretty proportional. My head is supported by my neck. So if I have a big head, I probably have a big neck. But in general, my overall body, like you'd look at someone and be like, okay, yeah, all of that seems to fit. And some people have super big arms, right? We talk about the person that skips leg day. They're not proportional. Their legs don't match their arms. So just be mindful of that when you're drawing things. So like me with my truck earlier, I had kind of a smallish cab. Then I had a really long truck bed and the little tiny wheels. Not proportional, right? This chunk over here is just too big. It doesn't quite make sense. And same thing like with a coffee cup. If I have something like this, well, then I can't have just a little tiny handle, right? It's not proportional. It doesn't make sense for the coffee cup. Now, if I was drawing a really little coffee cup, well, then a really little handle makes sense, okay? So over here, that is proportional. This over here is not proportional. Hopefully that helps with that. And the rest of that, you should be able to answer on your own. So I think we're done here. If you have questions, please let me know. Please email me. I would love to answer all of your questions. I really don't want any of you to struggle with this assignment just because you didn't understand what I wanted you to do. So email me if you have questions and we can get all of this worked out. All right. Have a great day, everybody, and enjoy drawing. Should be fun.